There's 4 homes.
Yes.
All of your talking is about Elrama Finley Road. What
That's true.
is going to happen to Gilmore Road?
I appreciate that. I think I was a little brief. So let's go back to that alignment.
Before they start signing things, we gotta circle back to our meeting.
Alright, so here's that alignment
Before
then.
they all break.
Here's
up and start
Gilmore
talking
Road
to
right
we gotta
here.
make a-
Right across from the proposed lift station. That's proposed to go down
I didn't even
the southbound lane of Gilmore. And the laterals for for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties are gonna be installed to the edge of the property line. So if you're on Gilmore, that's what you should expect. And if you wanna take a look at it, please come up at the end here, I can show you on the construction drawings.
Signing the right of ways and all of that, does that still pertain to us?
No, so
Thank
if you, yeah, when you received your letter from PCSA, you received either a right of way, a right of entry, or neither.
We
And you
received
fall in that
nothing.
category. If
Right,
you're receiving
okay.
a lateral to the edge of your property, you're in that group C. We don't need an agreement from
Okay,
that. You
okay.
just need the rest of the information.
Thank you.
And the key element, why we wanted to include, even though we don't need to sign a right of way, is to communicate to our customer base that, you know, where the authority's at, what to expect, and to answer any questions. Obviously, even though you're not required to sign a right of way, that information's key for our new customers, and the authority board, wanted that consideration, even though there's not an ask, if you will, to sign a right of way. Our board was pretty firm in including, those customers that aren't needed to sign, and it is part of the information process.
Yes.
Are there individual drawings for each property, or is it all just on a big giant map up there?
It's on a big giant map up here. They're construction drawings, so they're on 50 scale. The right-of-way agreements, the exhibits accompanying those were just for the individual properties. I'm not sure of what you fall under. If you want to take a look at your property, that's why we brought those construction drawings with us. Any other questions?
Do you know if the PennFest loan includes the packet?
I think it could. There's income, or, you know, there's qualification requirements that's specific to that. But I've heard property owners apply for and get funding for not only the lateral construction, but part of the tapping fee as well. And what I'll also say is, in doing this work for a lot of municipal authorities in western Pennsylvania, an average sewer bill of around $50 per month, and a tapping fee that Eric presented is one of the lowest, if not the lowest, in the region. Sewage bills in the mid-50s, a lot of municipalities are in the mid-80s to 90s, in that range. So we're very fortunate here. The authorities run very well. The board is cognizant of their financial stewardship, and they provide a very good service, a cost-effective service to our customer payers.
Yes.
Is there a list of plumbers that you can choose from, or how does that work? for
Yeah, I'll just say, we do have a list of plumbers that we'd be happy to provide you. We can't recommend the plumber, but we have a list that you can contact.
I can make a recommendation if you'd like, get multiple quotes. And frankly speaking, the plumbers that are on that list know our specifications, but depending on their workload, may factor in their price. So we always recommend that you get multiple quotes and talk to those plumbers. have them explain to you what they're proposing, and so you have a comfort level. I would make that recommendation.
And that's a good recommendation, because I would tell you, have that discussion with them, but some of the plumbers on the list, they might charge 3 times as much as some of the other plumbers. And just because that's what they charge, depending on if they're busy, depending on this, depending on that. So it's good to get more than one quote, like Jason said. You can certainly call and talk to Tanya and myself up at the authority when you get to talking, and that's gonna be down the road, but like, hey, what do you think? This plumber is giving me a price like that, I think, we can just tell you from working in the area, we know this, we know that, so on and so forth. We can give you some tips that way, but like I said, Jason recommended to get more than one quote, that's an excellent recommendation, but we can't recommend users for it. That's up to you guys. And again, what Jason's talking about, the rate, what Eric explained in there about the rates, right now, and the rates will more likely go up before you guys tie in, but the tap-in fee is gonna stay the same. The rate increase, again, right now, it's $20 from 0 to 2,000. It's $825 per thousand after that. So if you have a big family, or you let your water run and use 10,000 gallons, of course it's gonna be more than somebody who uses 3,000 gallons. So just remember that and everything. So it's based, we do billing based on water consumption readings. When you get a letter from us to tie in, it's like, we bill about, 6 or 8 weeks
Yeah, about 2 months.
behind the water company. So what you have to be cognizant of, and we're getting, way ahead because you're not timing until then, but you gotta be cognizant of the service period of the water matching the service period of us. Cause like right now, it is March, we're billing for what, December or January?
It'll be probably January through February.
So, when the time comes, feel free to ask us any questions, but, as far as you'll get a customer package, you'll get this and that, but we won't get notified from the water company, for a while that you're pointed towards our direction to bill. So you won't get a bill for, a little while is what I'm saying. But people call all the time and say, I only use 3,000 gallons, and they're matching up the wrong service period with us compared to the water company. I mean, we can explain all that to you in more detail, either calling beforehand now or at the time, so we'll be glad to answer your questions.
Question,
Yes.
is this a mandatory thing, like right now, say, if someone couldn't get a loan and wanted to have the service, can they pay the tap-in fee for a later date? Or will-
I can answer that. It's required to tap in within 60 days. We are gonna discuss with our board and our solicitor. Our objective is to have naturally everybody pay that right up front and do that, but you have to tap in there. Well, we're gonna talk to our board and solicitor, and this isn't decided. If, it pressures you guys for the money that it costs, not everybody's gonna be able to come up with that. So we're gonna talk to our board about if we can start like a loan payment or something like that, let you tap in and pay it that way. If we get to that point.
Well, what's the benefits loan covering that?
No, that's separate for, your lateral and so on and so forth. I'm just saying for the tap-in fee itself. If they cover that, I don't know. Just like this young lady said here, it changed from what she said about being determined, being now third and now second. So she has a line of credit, she's not gonna be able to get it. So when Tanya provided that document, a lot of things on there will say maybe from 2019, it may have changed, so that's not something we investigate, that's something, if you're going after a loan or something like that, see what's covered, see if you're eligible and so on and so forth. And what I'm saying is, if you're not covered for that, hopefully, everybody will pay the fee, tap in, get the 60-day letter to tap in, get a plumber to do that, but it gets to be an expense maybe that you can't handle right now or something. We're gonna talk to our board and our solicitor to see if we can still have a request for like installments of that, lateral or tap-in fee, that kind of stuff. And not the lateral, that's up to the plumber, because that's for you to get, but I'm talking about the tap-in fee, that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I already live on Finley, Elrama Road, and I already have sewage. Am I gonna be required to tap into this new, my sewage comes down through the woods here and taps into a manhole?
What's your name, sir?
Dennis Brain?
I talked to you then, Mr. Brown.
Okay, yeah.
We're
They're gonna require me to tap into
No,
that?
it's not gonna require you, but what we were talking about on the phone is you have a long lateral. You might wanna take an opportunity, if it works out, you know, it's not mandatory, if it works out, this might be your opportunity to do that another way in shorter lateral. When
Well,
I talked to you on
here's
the
the
phone.
thing,
Go ahead.
because of the elevation of my yard and where my pipe comes out of the house,
Right,
we're talking thousands of dollars. I'm gonna have a ditch that's 25 feet deep to have gravity flow come out of my house before it gets to a point where
right,
the gravity will take it down to your,
I understand.
sewer line.
And
I mean, I'll have a payment bigger than my mortgage.
no, I mean, but on the other hand, I mean, I had some discussion with you and naturally we reviewed some of that preliminary.
I understand what you
But
said,
what
but
I'm saying is, what I was telling you, Mr. Brain, is if anybody, once you got public sewer and you sell your property, naturally, public sewer is gonna bring the property value up. But when you sell your property, if it comes to that, you're required to do a dye test and a no lien letter. Okay, so if that means you have to all be in compliance, whether it's right-of-way easements, whether it's clean out, site tees, the proper kind of pipes, so on and so forth. And then you will get to the point where if you have a long lateral and you have to camera that line and everything, it might get to the point where might be expensive too. I'm not saying you have to do it, I'm just saying this is something we're, discussing with you.
yeah.
You simply say no, you say no. But we have, how many, Tanya, 5 or 6 customers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 current customers. But some of those current customers got letters because they need a right-of-way encroachment for the temporary easement for the force main. And other ones might have got it for a right of entry or something, because we're gonna install the lateral just at a point with a site fee, and then you're responsible from there. So that's something we can talk further about what you're saying. But no, it's not mandatory for you to disconnect and tie in. We can go
Okay.
over all that. But just keep in mind, like I said,
And that's a special case
I
where you're an
understand,
existing
yeah.
customer.
right,
The other element is the authorities building the main line and setting a site T, providing provisions that our customers tie into. That lift station is predicated on those 33 customers contributing flow. So, and I'll be candid, there's a big investment that both the township and the authority are making in this project, over and above the tapping fee. The township and the authority are project partners on this. So there's a big investment and part of that is to enhance the environment, improve it in terms of sewage facility discharge. So that lift station is designed to accommodate the 33 customers. There is, Union Township does have a mandatory connection ordinance that once the facilities are installed and ready for operation, there's a period of time where, not if you're an existing customer, if you already have service, but the customers that are currently on lot sewage would need to tie in with that, within that 60-day period or whatever that is. So I just wanted to cover that as well, that your case is unique from a lot of our other neighbors.
Probably the only one.
Maybe, but I just didn't want there to be a misunderstanding that I'm not required to tie in.
Yeah.
You're unique because you already have service. There might be advantages to you that you wanna explore, and we certainly welcome that. But once the project's ready to go, it's not optional.
and you are unique, Mr. Brain, I'll say, for having a long lateral. You are unique in that.
Yeah.
And that's not, an advantage to anybody.
Well, I understand.
And one of the other elements And if I might, one of our project partners obviously is the township, and part of their role in this, the township engineer, along with us, the authority engineer, working collaboratively together. One of the roles of the township was our township solicitor drafting the forms of agreement that you've received, okay? And, working collaboratively, that language has been developed, and I believe the township wants to, review or ratify that. There's a quorum here this evening.
Yeah, it's just on our agenda, so
Gotcha.
that's the next thing on our agenda, before you guys break up and start talking, but, whenever you're done, just before it gets where you're
Yes,
feeling
before we
directed.
get into breakup sessions, we'll make sure we do that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Are there construction drawings for the lift station? What does that look like? Underground, partially underground, noise concerns or anything with that?
Yes, it's underground. There are some provisions that are above the ground, obviously controls. There'll be a backup generator, that's not big in nature. The lift station is actually very small. It will have a security fence around it, to make sure that, keep our kids safe and people from nosing in on places we shouldn't be, right?
And some landscaping around that fencing.
And landscaping around that, to enhance the neighborhood as much as possible, for screening, but the vast majority of it is underground. And I will be candid with you, that lift station, in terms of the depth, is deep. The sewer lines are fairly shallow, but the lift station is deep. They're typically deep by nature. And so that lift station, you'll probably think, wow, there's some big equipment there building that lift station, and yes, there will be, because it's going to be deep. There's no question.
But as for operation, no noise pollution comes out of it.
The submerged pumps are proposed, so now, pumps that grade from a noise standpoint.
Well, I wouldn't say no noise. You got the pump submerged, but you're gonna have a generator running. It runs like on the test thing, but if power goes out, that's the idea of having the generator, backup power. So you will hear some noise, but not consistently like that way. So naturally, if the power's out, hopefully that thing runs to everybody's service that way. The pumps themselves, you might hear noise from some of the crews when we go check the pump station. That's part of what we do. Sometimes we might have service people in there to, maybe one of the pumps need changed, different things like that. They might have people going in and out. It's not a consistent thing, but it's, it is a pump station. And just like there's gonna be a little bit of inconvenience during construction.
It sounds like it's gonna be quieter than the water.
It is, that
Yes,
generator runs.
yes.
And the authority has 2 lift stations that we own, operate, and maintain that are similar in nature to this one. In being, serving the authority since 2007 or 8, there's never been a noise complaint with the lift stations.
I talked to Eric in the hallway. What about odor? I'm downwind of it. I'm real concerned about that, because I've seen them in other areas, and if they quit working and back up, you can get an odor at that time. I understand that because it's broken, but I'm just concerned, during normal operations of getting odor coming down to my house and everything.
Yeah, and that's a good question. Thank you for that question. A well-operated, well-designed, well-operated lift station shouldn't have any odors. Meaning, in the lift station's designed to, if, when sewage is draining in and it kicks on, there's a certain amount of time before it kicks on again. So you wanna keep those cycles as small as you can, not too small, to keep that pump fresh and keep the sewage fresh. There's also provisions in the lift station, in the future, if needed, to add an odor control system, if needed. Our 2 lift stations in the authority service area, I don't think that there's been an odor complaint dating back to 2005 or 6 that we've been with the authority. But there are provisions if we need to do it.
I appreciate that. I mean, Eric explained that to me. I just wanted everyone else to hear about it.
And I,
Can you give me a call tomorrow, please?
Absolutely.
And we'll talk more.
Yes,
All right?
sir.
Thank you.
can I just say one thing there about the, pump station and everything like that? I mean, the whole idea of this pump station, as Eric explained before, about customers having grinder pumps and that, we did that for purposes, for your sake of not having, you were gonna have to pay for a grinder pump, be on a grinder pump system, have an electric panel, pump all the way up to there. The whole idea of this pump station, so people gravity flow to that, when the pumps kick on, it will force main up to that manhole at the top of the hill. We decided to go in a different direction that way for that reason, basically for, helping that.
Any other general questions? Yes, sir.
Am I understanding it correctly, we're gonna pay $3,200 and that's it? There's no, monthly additional fees? I understand I gotta pay for a plumber to hook into it and everything, that's all on me. But all we're gonna pay is you guys the $3,200.
That's the upfront tap-in fee.
And then
That's your buy-in.
Is there monthly fees additionally for loans,
But in terms of the,
frontages?
Just
in terms
usage.
of the $3,200, the tapping fee, that's a one-time charge.
That's all I gotta pay other than my monthly bill?
You will have a monthly bill, I guess
Right.
that's my point. That one-time fee, the $3,200 plus your monthly bill is the only charges.
Okay, so,
Yes.
but of course, the attachment for my house too, it's gonna be on me.
Correct.
Is
Yes.
that pipe allowed to go down a driveway, or does it have to go through the yard?
Our rule is that we try not to have it in the driveway.
So the answer-
Sometimes
the
it's
answer
impossible, but if the plumbing comes out that way, sometimes you can offset it and have it off the driveway. Our rule is to try to stay out of the driveway, not only for our sake, for your sake, because it's more costly if you have to repair that.
The reason I ask is I have to put on a wall and concrete steps and where my tank comes out.
We can review all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can move is what I'm saying.
And actually, what Jason was talking about, our tap-in fee plus the three-part inspection is $24.50. That's it for us. The other check goes to CMA right directly, that 809 fee. I can't speak if they're gonna increase that, but they haven't in a lot of years since they started it. But I mean, that's a separate check. It's not something we keep. We collect that off of you for our sakes of the customers. We used to send everybody down to Clinton, this before, and it got to be hard on the customer. So we collect that on our own, a separate check. And then we go through the process and finally send paperwork down there, and then we get that receipt and everything as part of the process, the tie-in and everything.
Like when they
But
put-
if that raises in the future, that doesn't apply to you.
Yeah.
You bought in.
Okay, like when they put our water lines in, the township took a Penvest loan, and we paid monthly additional on top of our water bill for years. Is there any kind of fee we're gonna be paying for this, for the installation of this? This is all, it's all covered?
No, we just described,
Okay,
yes.
I'm just
There
clarifying
are
that it's not
other
coming out of my
projects.
pocket.
There are other projects like that water line that could be financed that
Yes.
way. But it was important to our stakeholders not to do it that way, so that you pay the tap-in fee, the standard tap-in fee in Peters Creek, connect in, pay the monthly sewer bill that's it. There's no other debt service on top of there.
Okay, good, thank you.
Will we get a letter saying that your tap-in fee is due, or how does that money work?
Yeah, when that notice to connect comes out, that's when the tapping fee would be due. There's, a time frame
Okay.
associated with
And
that.
2 checks at that time, correct? One
Yes.
to you and one to the 809?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was identified in the slide.
Okay.
And then there'll be a certain time frame in order for your plumber to connect your house to the authority's line. that letter will specify all of that.
And back to that sewer service fees on page 18, the tap-in fee that you're talking about, that's gonna stay as is. And like Jason's saying, once you pay that 809, if that's what they charge by the time you guys hook up, that's it, you don't pay it again next year. But the service fees, again, it's based on water consumption, and it's based on what we charge, that we have to charge our customers to pay our portion of them operating the plant down there. So that's gonna change itself too, because they have a $40 million loan right now, and then now they're gonna have another 30 some. Well, the first one is a loan, the second one's a Penvest loan. The first one is a bond debt, the second one's gonna be a Penvest loan. So we haven't started paying it. We could have started paying our current customers right now. It starts like in June for the second Penvest loan, and we just decided to try to absorb that cost and not put it on our customers until that time. Try to hold off a little bit to help our current customers.
Any other general questions?
I'm already hooked up, but looks like you're tearing my yard out, so I don't have to pay another tap.
Well, rather than answer those, if you have an individual question about your property, let's talk after the meeting, and we can answer that specific question. I wanna kinda get the general questions that apply to everyone. And all our houses are unique to us, and that's why we're gonna spend some time. Other people may be simple and straightforward, that they can sign their right-of-ways tonight. With Tanya, we'll have 3 stations that we can talk through individual circumstances like yours, sir. Any other general
Yeah, I got a
questions?
question. You guys put that line down through there. When will you need a plumber to hook up to the main line? Is that gonna be next year? Or are you gonna hook that up as you go down the street?
That's a good question. And Eric had mentioned, hopefully this summer, we're starting construction, and we're projecting the end of construction to be next year. Okay? It's likely not going to take a full calendar year to put the facilities online, okay? There'll be 2 construction contracts. There'll be the line work contract, and there'll be the lift station contract. The lift station contract, those typically take longer. And the reason why I say that is, in terms of pumps and things like that these days, these aren't pumps that you can get at Lowe's.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure.
These are pumps that once there's a contract awarded, once there's a notice to proceed, once the contractor issues the purchase order,
They build them.
the vendor will submit the shop drawing, we'll review the shop drawing, and they build it from scratch. And sometimes that could be an 8-month process. Okay? Just to build the pump. And again, there's a lot of variables there.
Yeah.
But that's why we're saying that it's a year.
Yeah.
So you may see the lines finish and the restoration's done, and you're thinking, man, they're ready to connect. But the pumps may be still in the manufacturing process, that we can't issue the notice to connect until that lift station started up. So there's going to be a period of time that the collection system may be done, it may be tested, it may be accepted, the restoration's done, and you're seeing grass growing, but that lift station's not started up yet, so we can't issue the notice to connect. And a lot of that depends on who the contractors are. The authority, similar to the township being a public body, have to publicly advertise and bid and award to the lowest responsible contractor. We don't know who that is sitting here today, because it's a public bid. And so there's some variables in there. So, and that's a very good question, that you may see the collection system done, grass growing, the PennDOT road restored, and you're thinking, wow, I'm gonna need to connect in next month. But the lift station may be 90 to 120 days away till it's started up.
So you're thinking maybe plumbing into it may only be next year then?
Potentially,
Yeah, yeah.
depending on the progress of the lift stations.
Mhm.
In every month at the authority board meeting, the schedule for this project is communicated to the public.
Mhm.
I notice a lot of familiar faces here. As the project goes along, we'll try to keep our customers in the loop, so you're not surprised that
Next week come up with the money.
Yeah, next week. come up with the money.
Yeah,
And that's a good point.
yeah, yeah.
My thinking is, generally speaking, and I'm not gonna guarantee it, but my thinking is probably the fourth quarter of 2025 at the earliest.
Yeah.
I think that's probably reasonable, and I can't be any more specific. than
No,
that.
I was kinda thinking that too, the way you're talking, yeah. Alright,
That's the best answer I can give you. Every month, we update our board, and that's a good way to get information as well.
alright, thank you. I was kinda thinking that, but
And that's a very good question, I'm glad you asked.
thank you.
And you can also call, how's progress coming, what do you think? I mean, we don't have the, crystal ball, but it can kinda give you an idea. Maybe expect it to happen in 6 more months or something like that, if we can do that.
Yeah.
Or periodic updates maybe via our website.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I just know how construction goes,
Yes.
Exactly.
Any more general questions? I'll be very candid with you. These are very good questions, and I'm glad you're asking.
Do you have any idea what the interest rate would be on this, thing? I know that, the paper said, between 1.5% and 2.5%. That was in 2019, and everything is really jacked up, so to speak.
And your question pertains to the PennVest loan?
Yeah.
I'll be candid with you, I don't know exactly what the interest rate is, but what I can tell you is the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority, which is PennVest, their interest rates are, very competitive, very low. You probably won't be able to go to a bank,
They're
for
not
less.
prime and then 3% on top of it or something, is what you're saying.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that. Typically, they have, and I'm not sure about that specific program, but PennVest, in terms of loaning, for infrastructure projects, their interest rates, for Washington County, probably at 2.5 to 3 on a 20-year loan. But they also have other programs. Yeah. But that specific program, I would talk to them to see what it is. It's probably not a lot higher than it was back then. 175. Any other general questions?
I have a township question.
Yes.
I see Mr. Burns was not here tonight, right?
Not here.
I had a question on, so part of the memorandum of understanding is that the township has to pay for the acquisition of that portion of property of his. That, is there a number attached to that yet? We're unaware of how much that amount is.
Yes, there is an agreement signed.
Okay, is there a way that we could get a copy? For our budgetary purposes, we'd like to know what that figure is. We have those couple of motions to do, and then, I did have something else to go over, but it's not like a public meeting thing. So if you are done, we just have a couple of, so we are down on our agenda at the motion to approve the easement agreements prepared by Solicitor's Office. So these are the agreements between Peters Creek Sanitary and these residents of Union Township. It's more or less for the approval of the preparation, and that we are good with, cause it's on our, it's in the memorandum of understanding that we pay for those, but we just have to ratify it now that we have done it. So, is there any questions dealing with that? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the easement agreements that were prepared by, Solicitor Makel's office for. Any second?
I'll second.
So, roll call? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion to approve the right-of-way agreements that were prepared by Solicitor Dennis Makel's office for this project. So Suzanne made the motion. I'll second. Roll call? Aye. That finishes ours. Now, we can adjourn our meeting and then, so I make a motion to adjourn at, what is that?